Welcome. Please tell me who you are and what you're doing. What's your job?
Hello, my name is Emmanuel Legrand. I am a journalist, I am a blogger, and I am a media consultant.
And why are you here at Eurosonic Noorderslag?
Oh, because someone invited me nicely, kindly. Now, I'm here for a couple of reasons. First of all, I've been coming here for quite a while as a journalist covering the event. And then I started when Peter Smith started bringing in here the Borderbreakers Awards. I went along because I co-founded the Borderbreakers Awards, and I provide the data that helps identify the artists who eventually win the awards. And I'm also here because I did a certain number of sessions, one with Mark Mulligan this morning that you already had on your show, and one with Martin Mills that you also had on your show.
So is there a point you want to make, make this event?
It's a great event because it's about live music and it's about artists who can play to an audience. It's not about manufactured pop or whatever genre it could be. And there's always great shows. The audience is great here. You have a lot of youngsters because I think you have a huge university around here, and there's something, you know, it's the winter, it's cold outside, therefore it's, you know, warm inside.
And it's very special that everyone from Amsterdam comes all the way to.
Well, I came from London, so
yeah,
you know.
yeah, but we Dutch seem to think that Groningen is very far away from Amsterdam.
It is very far away.
Only 2 hours, so it's okay. Well, the event is also about the state of music, and if I ask you about the present state of the music industry, what do you say?
Has been worse. It's slightly
so
improving.
We're on the up. Yeah.
It looks like, you know, we've bottomed down and probably we're starting to go on the up. There's still some serious issues about, you know, the amount of revenues you can get from, you know, the digital use of music, and there is a certain aspect of fear, I would say, with the future of, you know, CD sales that still represent a lot of, you know, the revenues from the music industry. A lot of retail chains are closing down. Virgin Megastore in France is going through a very, very tough time, and that's not very good news. But the good news is that you have more and more people actually consuming music through the Amazons and the Googles and the Apples of this world.
So that's the up.
That's the up. That's the good up. The other good up is that apparently there is still a lot of good music out there, and especially being here, what I like is the fact that, you know, you have artists coming from absolutely everywhere, and you have good surprises. You go and see a Portuguese band or a band from Latvia, and suddenly you've never heard of them, and they're bloody good.
But good music will always be there.
There's been times when music was.
Does it need a good industry?
I think there's a bit of both. When the industry is not safe about its own self and is a bit frightened, I think they tend to make very short-term decisions, and that's not necessarily good for the business. If you look at a lot of the artists that were on top of the charts for the past 10 years, you know, most of them come from TV shows like Pop Idol, X Factor, etc. If you take the whole list today of all these artists in every single country and then try and figure out where these artists are these days, very few of them have had longevity. So that's what I call short-termism. If you invest like Martin Mills did on an artist like Adele, you can probably bet your shirt that in 20 years' time she will still be around and she will have an audience. It's not short-termism. You look for the long term.
So you say if the industry isn't doing well, they take the safe bet, but the safe bet is a short-term bet because you're on Idols today and tomorrow someone else is.
Yeah, but look, for example, no one could predict. Could you have thought 2 years ago when Swedish House Mafia got a Borderbreakers Award that these guys would be filling, you know, the Madison Square Garden or stadiums? You know, it's the kind of thing, you know, that it's the unexpected, which is great.
Yeah.
You know, because suddenly it clicks with the audience, and you have some great bands that, you know, come from nowhere, and suddenly, you know, it does. It clicks with the audience.
Yeah.
And you don't need a TV show to get there.
No. So good music needs a good industry.
I think so. You can still have good music without a good industry, but I think the two go hand in hand, because if you want your music to be heard, I think you need also the structure and infrastructure around you to work properly. And there are a lot of people, I think you interviewed Jeff Price also, who say it's easier now than it was. Actually, I think it's more complicated now than it has ever been, because the streams and all the things that you can do are, have multiplied. Yes, you have a much bigger playground, but it takes a lot of time and attention to put all these things together. And that's why I think also that, as opposed to what Jeff Price says, that labels will still be used because they provide a service. And an artist at some point, needs to focus on the music. And if you start focusing on, okay, I have to go on this platform and I have to do this and I have to do that and all that, in the end, that's the time that you're not going to be spending, dealing with your music. Yeah. And so I think we'll have a little bit of both at the moment. And I think the more we're going to get into a fully digital world, you will still have the good music, and you will have the people who will need labels like Martin Mills' label to, shape an environment and help you get to the market. And you can still have, billions of views on YouTube, that does not harm.
But it doesn't mean you don't need him. You don't need his record company.
You will need probably at some point a record company. Look, the biggest YouTube success, which is, that South Korean artist.
Yeah, the Gangnam Style.
Went through, did a lot of viral stuff and all that, but, he didn't do it on his own. He had people also working with him. And then in the US, they went through a major company in order to get, the distribution and all because it's a big market, it's a very complicated market. So I think you will still have a little bit of both, but you will need mostly service providers or companies that will be helping artists to get to the market, because I don't think it's necessarily the artist's job to take care of distribution or things like that.
Most artists won't even like it, probably.
No, and hey, what they should be doing is good songs. And once you have a good song, one good song can take you for the rest of your life. There was a BBC show not too long ago which was documenting the songs that made the most money. We can argue about the methodology, but it was interesting to see that Stand By Me by Benny King is a song, and you had an interview with Benny King saying that without that song he would probably be a cab driver. So guys, write good songs, and maybe that way you will avoid being a cab driver for the rest of your life.
Maybe being a cab driver is really nice. You never know. According to you, what is the most important trend concerning music and technology?
Well, the thing we hear the most here and elsewhere is the process of licensing music to technology companies needs to be easier.
Because it takes a lot of time. It takes up a lot of money as well, and
yes, but you can imagine that technology companies have money also. Google is not short of cash.
No.
Apple is not short of cash. Facebook is not short of cash. So that's it shouldn't be really a problem. No, it's about the quickness in response, and also the facilities that the easiness that you can have in. Okay, I want your catalog. What are the conditions? How quickly can I have it? And I think that's something that the industry as a whole has to work together and to try and find the best solutions. And especially in Europe, where we do still have a very fragmented market. In Holland you speak Dutch, and in Sweden they speak Swedish, and in France they speak French, and and you still have the local markets, and you have when it comes to licensing, things have to become easier, and
So does that mean there has to be one European licensing bureau?
Not necessarily. There will be probably a few of them. But it depends also what kind of rights you incorporate. Buma Stemra as a collective rights management organization will have a certain type of rights, and then you will have record companies that will have a certain type of rights, and then you have music publishers that have a certain type of rights. Then the idea is to be able to bundle packages for the technology companies, so that they can they have an easier licensing process. That's one of the ideas. I know that a lot of companies are working on towards that goal, because fragmentation is actually the one thing that is harming the market.
But are the right people working towards that?
I think there are a certain number of them. There's certainly a movement towards that. The European Commission would like to see that happening. The Commissioner Michel Barnier has announced, a whole year, 2013 of consultation with the different stakeholders. We'll see, where that brings us in 2014.
So he speaks to all the parties involved.
He speaks to
long.
He speaks to all the parties involved, and there will be a lot of consultation, I think, this year with all the stakeholders. And everybody has a position. It's not necessarily us versus them. It's that, okay, well, we have a situation. How can we answer that situation? As they say, Houston, we have a situation.
What makes you enthusiastic about the music industry?
I'm not so sure I'm enthusiastic about the music industry.
No. Why not?
Because it's an industry. It's something. It morphs. It changes. It's certainly more interesting to be in the music industry than in the steel industry. Or can you imagine being people? You work at Procter and Gamble and you deal with cans of soap and stuff like that. How exciting is that? So at least it's a live texture. It's creativity. And it's a business. So you have all these different aspects. It's good fun. Yeah. And on top of that, you can, after we say goodbye, I can go and listen to some good music, and it's part of my job. Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah. If you could change one thing, what would it be?
In the music industry, I think what I mentioned earlier is everybody has to work together, and that doesn't happen enough. And everybody has to work together towards a goal, which is to make things easier for everyone, so that the flow of money also will start, becoming a bit bigger and also coming faster. Because I think that's an industry that needs a little bit more cash at the moment.
Yeah, because where is the money at the moment?
The money is probably in the hands of Google, your local operator, cable operator. These are the people who are your phone operator. These are the people who actually are using the value of music to make money. And if a little bit of that money would come back into the system, that I think it would be best for everyone.
Yeah, and how can we get it back then? Because that's easier said than done.
Some would say, you take an AK-47 and then
and tell them, give it to us.
Give it to us. Especially if people are reluctant. But I think there's an understanding with a lot of these companies that they will, in order for them to continue to be successful and be able to sell services to consumers, mobile phone services, cable services, and so on, they will have to provide also good content and a good experience. Mm-hmm. And if at some point there is not enough money in the system to invest and produce the right content, they will have a problem. Yeah. So it is in everybody's interest to work towards that goal. Will this language be heard? I don't know. I have my doubts, but
maybe when they hit the wall.
They are, because they are also in a. Their business is a big investment business. Putting cables down in your street and all that is expensive. So it's they're working on their cycle. The investment cycle is 10-20 years in terms of recouping their investment. So they understand that if they want to put say optic fiber in your street, that's going to cost X. But in order for you to use that optic fiber so that they can recoup their investment, they will have to provide you with the movies that you want to see, the music that you want to listen to, the books that you want to be able to download, etc. But if there's no money for the people to produce the movies or to produce the music, they will have problems to sell you that proposition. So I think that's the kind of mindset that we're talking about. So hopefully there will be some intelligent people that understand that it is in their interest also to put some money back into the ecosystem.
Yeah. If you would start a company today in music business, what would it be? Where would you start? Wow. What would you do?
There's one of the least talked about part of the music industry. You talk about the recording music, you talk about the live aspect and all that. There's one aspect which is very quiet, very they're just doing a little bit. It's music publishing. Music publishing is the business of the composition. The songwriters make a song. They give the rights to a publisher to exploit that song. And that's a business that has been going on since, I think the turn of the 20th century, basically. It's been a real business. And it's a pennies business, but it's been there for more than a century, and it will be there for a very long time, because there will still be composition and there will still be rights attached to the songs, to the compositions. And if you can set up a business that deals with that part, I think you are in for a long time. And I think the Dutch pension fund and understood that, because they have put a lot of money into a company for that a Dutch company to acquire rights to big publishing catalogs.
Really?
So yes, Imachem, and you were celebrating, or I think it's tomorrow, André de Raaf, who runs the company, and his money comes from the Dutch pension fund. And why? Is because music publishing delivers steady returns on investment year in, year out. But it's also a job
without much change, without
not much change,
turbulence.
But what I like about the publishing also is that a music publisher is at a very early stage. Aside if you might be just managing catalog, but if you are in the A&R process, the artistic process, your job is to pick young songwriters, young composers, young writers at a very early stage, and see them grow and help them grow. And then from an artistic perspective is extremely interesting. So you are the heart of, the business of music, which is, the songs. Without the songs, what's left?
There's nothing.
There's nothing.
No.
So that's, if I were to start a business, I think it would be in music publishing.
Okay.
And I would try to get, the Dutch pension funds to back me, because, it needs a little bit of capital also.
Yeah, of course. What doesn't? Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.